I'm Rhea.
And I'm Dwayne.
And we are your hosts of the Travel Party of Five podcast, where we share how we travel as a family of five around the world.
We will also share how we use points and miles to travel as affordably as possible and sometimes even completely free.
So if you're wanting to travel more with your family, but you're not sure how, we'd love for you to listen in.
So welcome to our podcast where we hope you learn a thing or two to get you closer to your next trip.
Hello, friends, and welcome back to Travel Party of Five podcast. My name is Rhea. I am your host, and I am solo today. I thought it would be fun to do a mid-year update. So cards opened, points earned, cashback earned, maybe bank account bonuses, that sort of thing. And then I also wanted to talk briefly about the more Chase changes, and an alternate working title for this episode was, or is, maybe I'll even use it, Go Home Chase You're Drunk, because they just can't seem to make up their mind. And then I also have a little announcement to make. So actually, let's start with the announcement. So we will be taking about a 4 to 6 week hiatus from the podcast. My goal is 4 weeks, but I want to leave a little bit of leeway just in case. And there's a variety of reasons for that. And I really don't want to do it because I really like watching the podcast numbers go up every week and every month for the most part. And this obviously will prevent that from happening. However, I have taken on I'm in the middle of starting a new role at work. So still with the same company, still working remotely, but a different role that would be considered a promotion. And the workload that comes with it is a little bit bigger, at least in the beginning, while I try to get my arms around the role. It's a role that I have not done before. And so it's just taking up a lot more of my time. And on top of that, we have like 3 weeks actually almost 4 weeks of travel in the month of June alone. We were in Oceanside last week. Gosh, was it last week or the week before? I don't know. We were in Oceanside. I was not on vacation though. I did work that entire time, but it was nice to work looking at the ocean and be able to go out for nice dinners and stuff. And then I have a work trip to Canada coming up this week, and then we will be in London and Scotland almost immediately after. So I just do not have the bandwidth to pre-record. Probably 4 episodes is roughly what I would need. And so I just decided, you know what? I'm not going to do it. And so we are going to be on a brief hiatus from the podcast. When we come back, I will share all the things about London and Scotland and all of that. And I will also hopefully have a system set up for guests to come on the podcast. So when I say system, how I would like it to be set up is if you have a trip idea or something and you want to come on the podcast, I have a form that you could fill out and you can just schedule directly with us during some scheduled blocks that we have, or like recurring blocks. And that way I can keep track of who wants to come on and what we want to talk about and just have some set specific time blocks for recording. So that's what I want to get set up when we get back from Scotland. And that is also just going to take me a little bit of time. So I appreciate your patience. Please do not forget about us and our podcast in the 4-ish weeks that we are gone. And thank you for listening and for understanding that we are just humans doing our best. And I really appreciate it. So that's the announcement. Let's jump into the meat of today's episode. I guess we could start with Chase because they've made some more announcements or changes, devaluations. I don't really know what you want to call it, but it kind of is another devaluation. So on the heels of the Hyatt devaluation, where they changed all the categories around and, came up with 17 trillion different categories now that a property could fall under, They have also announced that if you are a Chase Sapphire Preferred cardholder, so the Preferred is the $95 annual fee card, they have made a ton of changes to that card that people want you to believe are good changes. And I guess if you are not a big Hyatt fan, they are good changes because they're giving you some additional benefits and they're not raising the annual fee. However, if you are a Hyatt fan, then that is going to outweigh all of the good changes because as a Chase Sapphire Preferred card holder, effective October 1st, 2026, your transfers from Chase to Hyatt will be at a rate of 4-3. Currently, it transfers 1-1. So essentially, after October 1st, 1,000 Chase points will only give you 750 Hyatt points. Now, that is for existing card holders. So if you do not currently have this card, and you're going to apply tomorrow or any day from here on out, then you will automatically only have the 4-3 transfer ratio. So you will never be able to access 1-1 if you're going to open up the Chase Sapphire Preferred from here on out. But again, if you are an existing card holder, you have until October 1st. So really, that's not true. You have until September 30th to transfer 1-1 to Hyatt. And that is a bummer. I know a lot of people have this card. My mom has this card. My sister has this card. The bright side is if you have a Chase Sapphire Reserve, which is the premier or premium card with an $800 annual fee, the transfer ratio for Hyatt is for now sticking at 1-1. Now, will that continue long term? I do not know. But for us, we already have 2 Chase Sapphire Reserve cards. So this actually doesn't affect us at all, at least currently. But it is in general a sign that I think is indicative of not great things to come. I did see someone speculating that we will know shortly whether the problem is Chase being cheap or Hyatt raising their points prices when we see what Bilt does, if anything. Because currently Bilt is now the only partner that transfers 1-1 to Hyatt for all of their cards. So I guess if in the near future Bilt also announces similar changes, then we can assume that Hyatt has in fact raised their points prices that they are charging these banks. And if that does not happen, then Bilt is either eating that cost or Hyatt did not raise their prices and Chase is just continually trying to recoup back. I don't know. They're cutting costs, I guess. But here's where it gets weirder. After Chase has nerfed the ink trains and nerfed the Hyatt transfers and all those things and cut down on approvals and all that, they have come out with elevated offers on all of their cards, plus elevated referrals back up to $40,000 for the Chase business cards. It might be worth noting that I'm recording this at like 9 p.m. and it has been a very long day and I have to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning to get on an airplane. And at the risk of diverging off topic, I have to fly on United, which I could not be less excited about because I have a fresh, shiny Platinum Pro status with American Airlines and I don't even get to use it. Anyways, okay, back to Chase. So they keep making all these cuts to their cards and I guess they're still trying to entice people to get more cards by elevating the offers. So again, the Chase Sapphire Preferred is now elevated. The Chase Sapphire Preferred that nobody wants anymore is now elevated to 100,000 point sign-up bonus. The Chase Sapphire Reserve is elevated to 200,000 points. And all of the Chase inks are elevated as well. So I think the ink preferred is 100,000. I don't remember what the other inks are off the top of my head, but the referrals for the Chase Ink business cards are elevated back up to 40,000 points. But remember, if you already have a Chase business card, then you cannot be referred to another one. So this is really only beneficial if you know people that currently do not have a Chase business card that would like to get one. Then yes, you can and should refer them using your 40K link. I will put our links in the show notes. So if by chance no one in your family has a Chase Ink business card and you would like to you would like to get one, please use our link. I will put it in the show notes. But if you have one and your spouse does not, then you should use your link to refer them and get the 40K points yourself. So again, I'll put all of our links to all of these offers in the show notes, the elevated offers. And as always, we're super grateful if you utilize our links. We appreciate it so much. This podcast is completely free and makes us no money. So we always appreciate when you use our links so we can at least earn a few free points. Now, let's talk about our mid-year recap. So at the beginning of the year, I talked about how my goal for this year has switched a little bit to not only earning points, which I still want to do and am doing consistently, but I also wanted to focus on earning more cash back. Okay, so let's start with cards opened, and I'm actually going to just jot down as we go through the list the sign-up bonuses so that I can add up my points all together because I haven't done this yet, and my Travel Freely app is not completely updated. I have a card or two in there that I haven't added yet. So far this year, in January, we actually opened no cards, which was weird. But I did open a bunch like on December 29th and 30th. So I guess that's why I was working on those. Our first card of the year, I opened the US Bank Business Triple Cash that had an elevated offer at the time of $750 in cash back. So that was the first card that we opened, but no points earned on that one. Since then, I have opened an Amex Business Gold card and Dwayne has opened a Amex Business Platinum. I think we got mailers for both of those. Those were both opened in February. And so between the two of those, that is 500,000 points because the business gold was 200 and actually, you know what? And I'm sorry. No, it was not 200. It was 150K for the business gold and the business platinum was 300K. So those are that's the 300K is a fantastic offer. After that, we each opened the Hilton business card. There was like no lifetime language offers that came out in end of February, beginning of March. And so we each opened the Hilton business card that came with a free night certificate plus 175,000 Hilton points. And again, we each opened one of those. So that brings us to 5 cards so far. Dwayne was targeted for the Amex Blue Business Plus card with the 75K offer, which is the highest offer they have on that card. That is a no annual fee card, which is also fantastic. And it's a good kind of placeholder if you're going to close out your other membership rewards earning cards. The Blue Business Plus earns 2x on spend and has no annual fee. So it's a good place to keep your membership rewards if you don't plan on keeping the other higher annual fee cards for longer than a year. So that was 75K. Let's add that to my list. And then the last card that we opened was in April, actually end of April. And that was for me. I opened up the City Advantage Platinum Select World Elite MasterCard. So this is the personal AA card, like the most basic one that they have. And unfortunately, like the week after I opened this, they came out with an 80K offer on the same card. So that was very disappointing. The spend on this is very low, though. It's only $1,000. And believe it or not, I have not met the spend yet because originally I was going to wait and do a double dip, but then I decided I really value my relationship with American Airlines and therefore Citi, because Citi is the only issuer of American Airlines cards. And as someone who is going to hit executive platinum status this year, without a doubt, in fact, I should hit it in August or by August, I just don't want to do anything to potentially mess up that relationship. And so I decided not to do the double dip. And so I will instead meet the minimum spend on this in the next few weeks. So all in all, that brings us to 7 cards. And because I have not met the spend yet on the American Airlines cards, I'm not going to count those points yet. And so that is 875,000 points. Keep in mind that not all of those points are created equal. Some of them are Amex and some of them are Hilton. So those are wildly different point values, but still it's fun to keep track. Like it's like, oh, we're almost at 1 million points, which is exciting. And definitely will hopefully get at least double that by the end of the year. Now, let's talk about cash back. So when I think of cash back, I think of cashback cards. So that is, for example, that US Bank triple cash card. I also think about bank account bonuses. So in February, I earned $800 for bank account bonuses. In March, I earned $550. In April, $300. And then in June, actually this month, is when the US Bank triple cash bonus hit. It took me a very long time to earn that bonus, mainly because the credit limit on that card is only $3,000 and the minimum spend was $6,000. But also, US Bank does this weird billing thing where they make you set up a different login and they do like a central billing. So I have a US Bank business checking account, and in there I can see my business credit card, but I can't pay it from there because that's not the central billing login. So I have to have a second login that is for central billing. And when I called to try to change it, because I don't want it to be that way, the person that I spoke with thought that it might mess up my sign-up bonus. So I had to wait until I earned the $750 cash back before I could, get it off of the central billing. And so since that just happened, I now have to call US Bank and basically tell them I don't want your stupid central billing thing that makes 0 sense for me personally. Like, I can see that businesses where it would make sense, but I mean, at least ask, give me the option. The bank account bonuses that I earned were, let me pull up my trusty little spreadsheet. So it's worth noting some of these were opened in 2025, and it takes a few months, right? You have to set up the direct deposit, meet whatever the requirements are, and then you have to wait sometimes. And sometimes it's a month, sometimes it's 2 months, sometimes it's 3 months, which is insane. So I have a little spreadsheet where I just track like the bank. Is it me or Dwayne that opened the account, the date we opened it? What are the requirements for the spend? What was the bonus amount? Was there any kind of a Rakuten stack or anything like that? I track the date I met the requirements and then the date that I got paid. And then I also track, like, what do I do with the account? How long do I have to keep it open for? Is it still open? Is it closed? That sort of thing. So, okay, let's see. I did a US Bank business bonus. That was $400. I met the requirements in January. They paid me that in February. I did a OnePay account, which was only $50. Met that in March. I did a Chime account, which I don't even know if I have talked about Chime on this podcast before, but that was an absolute nightmare that I am still dealing with. And I will tell you all about it once I have a resolution. But essentially they opened up a credit card in my name that I did not apply for. I filed a complaint against them. They shut down my account and they kept my money that was in the account. And I'm still in the process of getting that money back. So fun times. I will do an entire episode on that once I have an outcome to share. But be warned, if you are looking at Chime, I find them predatory and disgusting. I did, however, I earned a bonus amount of $380. I think part of that was bank bonus and part was from Rakuten. But I don't have the money because it was in the account, and that was part of what they took. So TBD on if I actually get that money. I also did Wells Fargo and Capital One and Bank of America all in Dwayne's name, and those totaled $1,200. So $400 for Wells Fargo, $300 for Capital One, and $500 for Bank of America. And so that brings my whopping total, I will include the Chime, to $2,030 for bank account bonuses in 2026 so far, plus $750 from the US Bank Triple Cash. So $2,780. Not too bad. And I just realized I completely forgot about one card that I opened that I did not share. And I forgot about it because I have not been good at keeping up with my Travel Freely app. And that is the Amex Graphite card. This has an incredibly high spend to meet the sign-up bonus. So unless you have a business that spends a ton of money, I wouldn't even look at this card. The spend to get the sign-up bonus is $50,000. But I earned $2,000 cash back plus it's a 2% cashback card from American Express. It does not earn points. It does not transfer into membership rewards. It is strictly cash back. And I know I mentioned opening it on the podcast before. But in addition to the $2,000 sign-up bonus, you earn cash back on the spend itself. And so 2% of $50,000 is another roughly $1,000. So that's actually another $3,000 in cash back that I earned. So almost $6,000 in cash back overall, which I feel like is really good considering it's only halfway through the year. So I feel great about that. I'm pretty pleased so far with how the year has gone. If you have any questions about anything that I've talked about today, feel free to send me a DM on Instagram. I probably will still I will still be posting our London and Scotland trips on Instagram. So likely well before we talk about it on the podcast. So make sure that you're following along there if you want a little more up-to-date posts. And then let me pull up my calendar and I will tell you. So I anticipate I anticipate our next episode to be coming out July 20th. So today, at the time of recording, it is June 15th. And this episode is going to come out today or tomorrow, whenever it gets edited and posted. And so then the next 4 weeks, which is the 22nd, the 29th, the 6th, and the 13th, those will be hiatus weeks for us. And we will be back on July 20th with the beginnings of our trip recap. So I'm very excited for this trip. Oh, and the other thing I wanted to tell you guys is, so I've talked about this trip ad nauseum on the podcast at this point, and that's just what happens when you book things a year in advance. It's like the buildup is like so long that when the trip finally happens, it almost doesn't even feel real, which is kind of crazy. And I actually don't love that part. But I've talked how my goal is no more economy long haul flights. I want to fly us in business class as long as I have the points internationally all the time. And so the rest of our flights, so coming back from Scotland and then our trip later this year, it's all business class for the international legs. But we had economy flights booked from LAX to London on Virgin Atlantic. And they were very cheap. They were 75,000 points total for 5 of us. And I forget the taxes and fees, but it wasn't very much. However, I desperately wanted to find business class if I could find it for a reasonable amount. And I have been looking and looking, and I have alerts set and all the things. And I finally found 6 seats, splitting us up on 2 different planes on the exact day that we were already leaving. So I didn't need to shift anything else around in the trip. The 6 of us is Dwayne and I and the kids, plus my mom. And then my sister is our 7th, and she's meeting us in London, but she's flying from the East Coast, so she has a different flight. In economy, because she said, in no way am I paying those taxes and fees to fly business class. And I said, that's fine. No worries. However, I was able to book us 3 and 3 flying out of Dallas within an hour of each other. So like my mom, my daughter and I will fly on one flight, and Dwayne and the boys will fly on a separate flight. And we leave within an hour of each other, all from DFW. And we land within like 2 hours of each other. The boys have a layover, but they have a slightly better plane than what we have, but we have a direct flight. So they're on American Airlines. We are on British Airways. And I am pumped about it. We leave in about a week-ish, give or take a few days. And for someone who plans so far in advance, to have to just wait until the last minute availability shows up is kind of painful. But on the same note, I feel really proud that I was able to do it. I used American Airlines miles to book all of this. We'll talk more about the flights and stuff when we do the podcast recaps, because I do want to talk about the amount of miles and all that, and kind of the strategy that I used to book it, because I had a whole plan that fell apart when I couldn't find the availability I needed, and it was a whole thing. I changed the whole trip around. I've talked about it before. Anyways, at this point I'm rambling because I'm just exhausted, and now I have to go pack. So thank you for listening. If you have questions, DM me on Instagram. And again, appreciate your patience as we take a brief hiatus, and hopefully we can come back with some really good episodes and some really good content, and feel excited, and it can feel fresh. And I want to focus more on family travel, not just points, still points. Don't freak out, still points, because I think about points all day long still, even after 4 years. But I do want to focus a little more on the family travel aspect as well. I want to have some guests come on that can talk about more domestic travel, because I know that that's really more reasonable and relatable for a lot of people. And so I think there's really good stuff to come. I appreciate your patience as we work towards it. Thank you so much, and catch you in a few weeks. Bye.